Hello everyone. So what I'm gonna be demonstrating here is a case of injecting hydrogen directly into the intake of this 1.4 turbo diesel Ford Fusion engine. The turbo is obviously disconnected. This is the intake port after the turbo. This is the turbo. So this is just a very crude test. The muff sensor has been disconnected so that the flap for controlling the air intake is completely open. I just have a hose coming from the hydrogen bottle connected to the intake, which is, the bottle is currently sitting right here. So the engine is relatively cold. I've just run the first test, so now I want to kind of record it. So what's going to be going on here is I'm going to turn on the car and I'm gonna give it a little bit gas, so that a little bit of throttle, so that it has a pilot jet of diesel. And let me show you what happens. Obviously the engine management light is on. The engine works kind of okay. It's missing the turbo obviously, but it still works. So I'm just gonna keep it roughly at this, some pilot jet, because what happens otherwise is the engine tries to keep the RPM and the fuel economy, so it shuts off the fuel delivery immediately when the RPMs are higher than idle. So I'm gonna start opening this slowly. I'm still keeping the throttle, so it's a little bit hard to keep it perfectly steady, so it might be a little bit varying because of my pedal, but let's see what happens. So I'm now starting to add hydrogen and the RPMs keep going higher and higher. And it's not me, it's this. And this is now just me keeping the foot on the throttle. So if I remove my foot from the throttle, leave it to idle, the engine is just gonna shut off the pilot jet of diesel, and the hydrogen is not gonna be able to ignite. You can see the car is one stall. Yeah. The engine is definitely not happy. So if I give that pilot, it works. No, I've almost left my foot off the gas. So let's keep it there. It definitely works. Okay. The engine still runs. We hadn't blown it up. There is no weird noises as well, which is quite interesting. So it turns out that the self-ignition point of the diesel is lower than the compression temperature. Really, in the cylinder at least, and the engine is cold. Sorry. So I'm gonna wait until the engine warms up and try to run the test again. See what do I get then. Okay, so what I have here now is almost a completely warmed up engine. It shows that the temperature is at the working temperature, even though the fan has still not kicked in, but I'm gonna take that as a fully warmed up engine. And what I'm gonna do is the same test I did again, so a bit of throttle to give me the pilot diesel, and then I'm gonna start releasing the hydrogen. So let's say I'm gonna be keeping it around here. It's quite touchy because it's like a millimeter of throttle. Okay, so I'm keeping it at just above 1K, and I'm gonna start releasing the hydrogen. Let's see what happens. Yeah, the RPM starts to go up. Very interesting. So I have, all of the time I have kept my foot at the exact same place, or as much as I can, and if I open, I get more RPM. Oh, it struggles at a really high concentration, and that might be due to the low pilot or not enough air in the engine. It's hard to say. But it does work, and it doesn't sound, the engine doesn't sound weird as well. It isn't making any knocking noises or backfiring. I think this is pretty much a success, and the reason to pursue this idea further. It was interesting to see the turbo. As the engine warmed up, the turbo was blowing more and more air, and you can feel the kind of the breeze in the idle of air going through the turbo. But yeah, this is the intake. So what I think I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna remove this flap, and I'm actually gonna try the 3D print a replacement and see whether I can do a sort of a intake for the hydrogen directly there. All right.